like the only show to have lead actors and couple being a gay couple. We don't normally get a lot of, especially in shows. I'll go into different storylines from this season, starting with the school. I think that they made the school closing a whole storyline so it would feel like the end of an era and make the characters sad towards the end and throughout the show. How the audience is because it's the last season. They could have easily done it just by the graduations or them being sad because they won't see each other for the summer. I've seen plenty of people cry for summer break when they still see the same people in 2 months or even during break. Since it's boarding school, they probably won't live in the same cities. Also, I don't know how Swedish school year is. With this storyline, they gave a lot of unnecessary time spent on Vincent and the boys. Kind of why it felt rushed, and I don't think they needed more than one season to wrap it up in the first place. Them also showing that the rich kids were bad was why it kind of felt rushed. Just because they weren't homophobic, they would be good people, erasing their classes and racist tendencies. Them wanting to keep the status quo that the school had and didn't see anything bad with it, and it doesn't dive into it because there isn't enough time. It also glosses over it with no reason to bring it up other than the school closing. I felt like Simon's friends were just brought around for these reasons because they were never this involved in the school functions to show the classes ideologies that they have. Also, the actors probably needed more screen time, so this was probably an easy way to add them without being weird and having too much off-screen time with Simon and his friends. Leading to the other storyline with Felice and her being discriminated for being mixed. Disclaimer, I'm not black. Someone who I saw talk about it is Emergency, so you should look at his video for his opinion on it. So I can't dive into it like that because obviously I don't recall it ever being a problem with the school, only with her mom when she visited in the first season. But I remember it was about her hair or her weight that the mom mentioned. But I also haven't seen season 1 since rewatching it for season 2, when season 2 came out. I always perceived her as being the girl running the school, or at least their grade, where in this season she's kind of pushed out by the other girls and she can't relate to them. But she always fixed stuff with money, so it was kind of hard for me to swallow. I do like that she got a storyline other than being William's friend, but then again, they only have like one alone scene this season and like 4 scenes this whole season. It just felt like they needed Felice to end up picking Sarah and not the other rich girls like her. For me, her story was kinda meh. Forgot to add that it wasn't well developed for me. Her friends don't change or even acknowledge it really. The blonde one I forgot their names, but when she tells her she's beautiful or pretty when they had the conversation in episode 2, but Felice wasn't talking about feeling unattractive. It was about being other. And we see later on in the season that the brown-haired girl does her hair up when Felice is called out by the headmistress. But in the end, like I said, nothing is ever finalized with this storyline. She just chose to be friends with Sarah that likes her for her. You could say that it was more internalized arc because of the system and those around her, nothing changes. Which isn't bad, it's just, I felt like they kind of just added it and it didn't go anywhere except for the character, I guess, figuring it out for herself. Now Sarah. I am surprised to say hers was one of my favorites. Honestly, it was like almost peak, I'm not gonna lie. I went into this season not liking her after everything she did, but thinking on it and having had the time to process it, she is a teen with Asperger's and doesn't excuse what she did on Simone's part, but Felice was her first friend. So this would all be new to her and what you don't do with a friend's boyfriend, and we're not going to pretend like August didn't take advantage of that. Her dealing with the consequences of the last 2 seasons and her dad was a very interesting thing to watch. Also showed more compassion for her. I don't agree with her kissing August towards the end, but she breaking up with him and doing her own thing was nice to see. So Sarah's little arc this season was probably one of my favorites. Now August. It was a lot. To start with, opening season with the lawyers. The Crown should have the best lawyers. So why are they letting August lawyers do them like that? I know they just want to cover it up and get the payout. They don't want a trial. But them saying that they would press charges for William threatening him at the shooting range with the rifle, like it would hold up. It's hearsay and there's no evidence. Also, the witness would more than likely be on his side, other than maybe Sarah, but she might be on William's side just to back Simon. In the drug selling part, I always knew it would come back because it has his dad's name on it. I believe Sweden goes harder on drugs, but what's worse, what Simon did or what August did? That would probably hurt Simon more than William in that case if they were to go through with that. They focused a lot on his relationships with the boys, which I kind of also didn't care for. It was kind of pushing the nostalgia of it ending. Also, him selling his stuff didn't affect him at all. He's still in the whatever group, Arnas? No, not that's his last name. The like royal group or whatever they were doing, that was season 2's plot. But I'll talk about that more in the next section. But we still see how it's still about him, how he likes Sarah for how it makes him feel, not for Sarah herself. Also, how he tries to still save face to seem perfect. Seeing him more in his character was a good touch. How he deals with deeper things that were hinted before, like the eating disorder and the other mental things he's been dealing with. I hope he gets help he needs, but I still don't like him though. Before we go into the last section, Wilhelm's parents. Some of the worst parents I've ever seen to come to my screen. Now, Wilhelm and Simon. Having the world and the pressure affect their relationship was a good storyline for them. It makes sense how they acted too, because Simon is very reactive and Wilhelm is very self-centered. He's not selfish, but he doesn't think about others before himself. He's done it before with Simon and also with Felice when he kissed her. A good example from this season was the whole job argument they had in the tent, or even how he views his family compared to Simon. With the Sarah and Eric comparison, seeing how all this affected the relationship with them was a good storyline to add. Where it went flat was the monarchy part, or the royalist part, whatever you want to call it. One, I am not a monarchist. It's 2024 and people still monarchist is weird. The glamorization of these institutions is disgusting. Now, having said that, I was still wanting him to be king, but if him being king would lead to Wilhelm's deteriorating, then I don't want him to be king. But having August be the king, they lost me. Why? August didn't lose anything other than Sarah. In the end, he kept his prestige and is now going to be king after everything he did. He faced no consequences other than losing Sarah. Wilhelm's speech was kinda lackluster, focusing how it affects the people who don't get to choose to be royals, but overlooks so many other things, as if the royals are the most oppressed when they could easily end the monarchy so that both the people and the royals no longer have to suffer under that system. I guess I just wanted to talk about the show that I consider to be one of my favorites, especially coming from Netflix, let alone a gay couple lead in a show, not a movie. Overall, I like this season, but I think it's my weakest of the 3. Season 1 will probably be my favorite. This season felt a tad bit rushed and some extra stuff, but it's sad to say bye to the show. In a weird way, it does feel like we are also moving on. That was all I had for this video. Let me know what you thought about this season or the series overall since it's over. And remember, all I do is lie.